Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, let us step into a world of magnolia-scented nights, grand plantations, and a love so fierce it burns, even as a nation falls to ash. This is a tale of beauty and vanity, of survival and pride, of a woman who would stop at nothing to keep her land and her heart. Some call it a romance, others a tragedy, but for all who hear it, it is unforgettable. This is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. If you find this summary helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Novel Whisper Official, and comment below the title of the novel you'd like us to summarize next. We'll make it happen soon. The sun hangs low over the red earth of Georgia, casting its golden glow across the rolling fields of Tara. Scarlet and green mingle in the horizon, the rich soil promising harvests to come. At the center of it all stands Scarlett O'Hara, 16 years old, dazzling in beauty, sharp in wit, and utterly aware of the power she holds over every young man who crosses her path. She sits on the porch in her ruffled dress, listening to the Tarleton twins fight for her attention, their laughter echoing like music across the quiet countryside. Scarlett has always been the belle, the girl everyone desires, the one who turns heads with a tilt of her chin and a flutter of lashes. Yet beneath her coy smile lies a hunger, not for food, but for love, for admiration, for a life of glittering promise. Her heart beats faster when she thinks of Ashley Wilkes, the golden-haired gentleman who seems to embody all the ideals of Southern chivalry. He is gentle, noble, and speaks of poetry and honor in ways that make her restless. To Scarlett, he is the very picture of romance. But tonight, a shadow falls across her dream. The news has reached Tara. Ashley is to marry Melanie Hamilton, his quiet and gentle cousin. Melanie is kind, unassuming, soft, where Scarlett is fire. The thought of Ashley belonging to another woman is unbearable, and Scarlett's pride flares like the blaze of the Georgia sun. She cannot accept defeat, not when she has always bent the world to her will. As the wind rustles through the oaks, Scarlett's world, once so secure, so rooted in tradition, is already trembling. Beyond the fields of cotton, the nation itself teeters on the edge of war, and the Old South is about to crumble. But Scarlett O'Hara, proud and unyielding, does not yet know how much she will lose, or how much she will fight to hold on to what remains. The story of her heart, her land, and her relentless will begins here, under the vast southern sky, where the winds of change whisper of battles, betrayals, and a love that refuses to die. The morning after the announcement, Tara seems to Scarlett like a battlefield already lost. The house is alive with chatter, her sisters twittering about Ashley's engagement to Melanie. But to her it feels like a cruel betrayal. She tells herself it cannot be true, that Ashley loves her, not Melanie. She remembers every glance, every quiet moment they shared, the times his voice softened when he spoke to her. How could he choose someone so meek, so pale, so unlike herself? Scarlett's pride refuses to accept it. She convinces herself that Ashley's engagement is nothing more than duty, a sacrifice to family ties. If she could just speak to him, look into his eyes, surely he would admit the truth. He must love her. He must. That evening, under the heavy Georgian twilight, she seeks him out. The Wilkes plantation, 12 Oaks, glitters with preparations for a grand barbecue. Lanterns are strung. The scent of roasting meat drifts through the magnolia trees, and the air hums with the anticipation of dance and courtship. Scarlett arrives, dressed in white, her dark curls catching the light, her green eyes alight with determination. She moves through the crowd of guests with effortless grace, gathering admiring stares as if they were her birthright. But her mind is fixed on one man alone. When she finally corners Ashley in the library, her heart pounds so loudly she can barely hear her own words. She confesses, boldly, shamelessly, that she loves him, that she wants him, that he cannot possibly mean to marry another. Ashley listens, his face composed, his manner gentle. For a moment, Scarlett believes she has won, until he speaks with quiet firmness. He does love her, he admits, but not in the way she wishes. Melanie is his choice. She is his soulmate, his anchor, the one whose softness and loyalty will see him through the storms ahead. Scarlett's pride crumbles. She lashes out, slapping him with all the fury of a heart betrayed. And then, in the shadow of that same room, another presence stirs. A pair of dark eyes glint with amusement. Rhett Butler, a man with a reputation as scandalous as it is magnetic, has overheard everything. He steps forward, bowing with mocking politeness, and Scarlett feels her humiliation burn even hotter. Rhett's smile is wicked, his words sharper still. He admires her honesty, her fire, her refusal to play the meek maiden. Where others see impropriety, he sees a kindred spirit. Scarlett's cheeks blaze, but beneath her shame, something else flickers. Curiosity. This man is no Ashley. He is brash, arrogant, and dangerous, yet she cannot look away. And though she storms from the library in anger, a seed has been planted, one that will grow in ways she cannot imagine. As laughter and music fill the night air at 12 Oaks, distant thunder rolls from the horizon. It is not the summer storm the guests expect, but the drumbeat of war approaching. Soon the games of courtship and pride will be drowned out by cannon fire, and the South's golden world will be consumed by flames. Scarlett clutches her wounded heart, unaware that this is only the first loss in a story defined by them. The summer air grows heavier, and with it comes the drum of war. At the barbecue, gentlemen who once boasted only of horse races and dueling pistols now raise their glasses to the Confederacy. Pride swells in their voices as they speak of honor, duty, and the glory of battle. Scarlett listens, her heart still reeling from Ashley's rejection, her eyes searching for some crack in his composure. But Ashley stands beside Melanie with calm dignity, his choice unshaken, his loyalty sealed. The celebration shatters when a rider gallops into the yard with breathless news. War has come. The war everyone has spoken of in half-serious tones is now a reality. Young men leap to their feet with shouts of triumph, hats tossed high, fists raised toward the sky. They imagine themselves heroes before a shot is even fired. Scarlett watches them, the Tarleton twins, her friends, her admirers, and for the first time, she feels fear stirring beneath her pride. If war takes them, who will be left to admire her? Within days, the idyllic Order of Georgia tilts on its axis. The men ride away in grey uniforms, spurred on by visions of glory and songs of victory. Mothers weep behind lace handkerchiefs, sisters sew flags, and wives cling to their husbands, as if love might shield them from bullets. Scarlett, restless and bitter, feels her world closing in. Tara, once filled with laughter and flirtation, now resounds with the echo of absence. Still, life insists on continuing. Scarlett's father, Gerald O'Hara, tends the fields with a stubborn pride, clinging to the red earth as though it were his very lifeblood. Her mother, Ellen, remains a figure of quiet strength, guiding the household with patience and prayer. Yet even their steadiness cannot soothe Scarlett's storm. She burns with jealousy as she watches Ashley and Melanie wed, the ceremony sealing what she believed could never be. The vows echo in her mind like a verdict, and she feels a rage so fierce she swears she will never forgive. It is in this state of wounded vanity that she makes her first reckless choice. When Charles Hamilton, Melanie's brother, proposes, Scarlett accepts, not out of love, but out of spite. A weapon aimed directly at Ashley's heart. The wedding follows swiftly, and before she has time to grasp the weight of her decision, Charles is gone, swept into the chaos of war. The laughter of the barbecue is replaced by the silence of absence, and soon a letter arrives announcing Charles's death in battle. Scarlett, still little more than a girl, finds herself a widow, dressed in black, burdened with the suffocating duties of mourning. Her beauty is hidden beneath veils, her restless spirit caged by convention. She has won nothing, lost everything, and now must carry the child Charles left behind. The bitterness in her heart only deepens. She has played her hand, and the war has claimed her prize. Beyond Tara, the world burns hotter. Atlanta becomes a city of uniforms and wounded soldiers, its streets filled with the rhythm of drums and the cries of the injured. Scarlett, trapped in widowhood, longs for the dances, the suitors, the life that once seemed endless. She seethes at the thought of Melanie, still radiant in Ashley's love, even as the cannons thunder closer, and in the shadows of Atlanta's grand halls, she once again encounters the mocking gaze of Rhett Butler, whose laughter cuts through her bitterness like a blade. The old world of plantations and balls is fading, but Scarlett cannot see it yet. To her, the war is merely another game, another field upon which to win Ashley's heart, no matter the cost. But soon, hunger, loss, and fire will burn away her illusions, leaving only the raw steel of survival. Atlanta pulses with a restless energy, a city swelling with soldiers, wagons, and the endless clamor of war. Cannon fire rumbles faintly in the distance, but within the city's parlors, ladies in faded silks still try to keep alive the traditions of the Old South. Scarlett, restless in her widow's weeds, finds herself suffocating under the weight of propriety. She is too young, too hungry for life, to sit silently while others dance, and it is in this restless, impatient state that Rhett Butler strides once more into her world. He does not enter with the solemn dignity of Ashley, nor the boyish eagerness of her former suitors. Rhett is different. Tall, broad-shouldered, his dark eyes glint with a dangerous amusement that seems to pierce her very soul. He does not bow or flatter like the others. He looks at her as though he already knows her secrets, as though her carefully constructed mask is made of glass. The city whispers about him. Rhett is a blockade runner, a man who slips past Union ships with stolen goods, amassing a fortune while others starve. To the ladies of Atlanta, he is scandal itself, a rogue, a cynic, a man without honor. But to Scarlett, who has always hungered for more than lace and ballads, he is a flame too bright to ignore. His laughter shocks her, his bold words infuriate her, and yet his presence stirs something in her that Ashley never could. One night, at a charity auction meant to support the Confederate cause, Scarlett shocks the room. Widows are expected to remain modest, cloaked in black and humility. But when Rhett steps forward, offering an enormous bid for the privilege of dancing with her, Scarlett's blood surges. Ignoring the gasps of society, she lifts her skirts, casts aside her widow's pretense, and takes Rhett's arm. The dance is fire and defiance, her green eyes flashing as she dares the world to judge her. Atlanta never forgets that scandal, yet beneath Rhett's mocking grin lies a strange respect. He sees in Scarlett the same ruthless will that drives him, the same refusal to bow before society's rules. He warns her with a smirk that she's no lady, and she bristles, insisting she is. But in her heart, she knows he has spoken the truth. Meanwhile, the war creeps ever closer. The city fills with wounded soldiers, and Scarlett, despite herself, finds her days consumed with tending the sick alongside Melanie. She had once scorned Melanie's gentleness, but in the fevered nights, when screams echo and blood stains the sheets, she glimpses a quiet strength in her rival. Scarlett resents it, yet cannot deny its power. It is in those dark halls of suffering that Scarlett first feels the weight of reality pressing upon her. The war is no longer a game. Men she flirted with at picnics are now carried in, broken and dying. Food grows scarce and fear seeps into every corner of the city. Still she clings to her dreams of Ashley, her pride refusing to let go. Rhett watches her with that same sardonic smile, as though waiting for her to admit what he already knows, that she is not the fragile belle of Tara anymore, but something harder, fiercer, and infinitely more dangerous. And when the thunder of Sherman's army finally marches toward Atlanta, when the sky itself begins to glow with the red of approaching fire, Scarlett will be forced to decide whether her heart's stubborn dreams matter more than survival. The dance with Rhett is over, but the true test of her spirit is only beginning. The war does not arrive in a sudden strike, but in a slow, relentless tightening, like a noose drawn inch by inch. Atlanta, once a bustling hub of laughter and commerce, becomes a city under siege. The streets echo with the rattle of wagon wheels and the cries of the wounded. Hospitals overflow. The perfume of magnolia blossoms gives way to the stench of blood, smoke, and unwashed bodies. Scarlett, who once thought of war as a backdrop for flirtation, finds herself in dim hospital wards, her delicate hands stained red as she tends to soldiers gasping their last breaths. Melanie, frail in body but unshakable in spirit, walks beside her. Scarlett envies her calm, her soft devotion, her quiet courage. In those moments, Scarlett sees what Ashley admires in his wife, and the realization twists like a blade in her chest. Yet Scarlett does not crumble. If anything, the suffering around her hardens her resolve. She will not surrender to despair. She will survive. Then the thunder of war comes too close to ignore. Sherman's army marches toward Atlanta, burning everything in its path. The city shakes under the pounding of cannons, and fiery embers rain down like a storm of stars. Houses collapse, roofs crackle. The night is painted in orange flame. Scarlett, no longer the girl who dreamed only of Ashley's love, takes command. With Melanie on the brink of giving birth and the city in chaos, she shoulders responsibility with a fierceness no one expected. She searches for a way out of Atlanta, her mind racing faster than her pounding heart. Carriages are scarce, and danger lurks at every corner. When hope seems lost, Rhett Butler reappears, his grin edged with danger and bravado. He offers his carriage, his daring, and his protection, but not without cost. Scarlett, desperate to save herself, Melanie, and the newborn child, swallows her pride and accepts the escape is a fever dream of terror and fire. Horses scream as they gallop through streets choked with smoke. Buildings crumble behind them, sparks raining down, the night sky lit brighter than day. Scarlett holds Melanie's fragile body close, the newborn crying weakly in her arms, while Rhett's laughter cuts through the chaos like a blade of steel. To Scarlett, the world feels as though it is ending. The South burning to ash around her, her old life crumbling with it. When at last they leave the city behind, Rhett reins in the horse. His mocking mask slips for once, and he reveals what Scarlett could never have imagined. He is leaving. The war, he says, calls him to fight at last. For all his cynicism, for all his disdain for honor, he cannot stand aside while his land burns. Scarlett stares at him in disbelief, her pride and fury colliding with a rising panic. He kisses her, sudden and scorching, then rides off into the darkness, leaving her with a broken carriage, a sick woman, a newborn, and the weight of survival squarely on her slender shoulders. The road to Tara stretches before her, miles of danger and uncertainty. But Scarlett clenches her jaw, lifts her chin, and drives on. Behind her, Atlanta smolders. Ahead lies the only thing she has ever truly loved, the red earth of her home. And she swears to herself, through smoke and tears, that she will reach it, no matter the cost. The road to Tara is long, broken, and haunted by the war's shadow. Scarlett guides the weary horse, its ribs showing through its hide, while Melanie lies pale and trembling in the back of the wagon, clutching her newborn. Every mile is a battle against hunger, fear, and exhaustion. Union soldiers prowl the countryside. Deserters and looters scour the fields. And the once familiar land of Georgia has become a wilderness scarred by fire and death. At last, Tara rises from the ashes on the horizon, but the sight does not bring relief. The proud white-pillared house still stands, but the fields around it are trampled, the cotton burned, and the barns emptied. Scarlett runs into the arms of her father, Gerald O'Hara, only to see the vacant look in his eyes. He has lost more than his wealth in the war. He has lost his strength. Ellen, the pillar of the household, is gone, claimed by fever while Scarlett was away. The plantation's slaves, once a bustling community, have scattered or drifted into freedom. Tara, though standing, is hollow. In the silence of that ruined house, Scarlett feels the hunger claw at her stomach. She sees her sisters pale and weak, her father wandering in confusion, Melanie too fragile to rise from bed, and the newborn crying in hunger. For the first time, the proud belle of Tara sees that beauty and charm are useless weapons in this new world. She rips up the curtains to fashion clothes. She digs in the fields with her own hands. She barters, bargains, and schemes, her fingers blistered, her body aching, but her will unbroken. One evening, kneeling in the soil, she presses a fistful of red earth to her lips and whispers a vow into the dusk. She will never be hungry again, no matter what it takes, no matter what she must sacrifice. She will protect Tara. Pride hardens into steel, vanity transforms into ruthless determination. The girl who once measured her worth in the glances of young men is gone. In her place stands a woman forged by fire and hunger, a survivor who will bend the world to her will. Yet survival comes at a cost. Scarlett steals, deceives, and even lies to her own kin. She learns to charm and threaten with equal ease. The code of honor that once ruled the South is ashes now, and Scarlett will not burn with it. Every day she grows harder, colder, more unyielding. But even as she steels herself, one dream refuses to die. Ashley. Always Ashley. His memory burns in her heart, a wound that never heals, a hope she cannot kill. At night, when the wind whistles through the blackened trees and the distant echo of soldiers' boots haunts the fields, Scarlett clings to that vow. She will keep Tara alive. For her father, for her sisters, for Melanie and her child, and most of all, for herself. The war has stripped her of everything she thought she needed, except the land beneath her feet. The red earth is eternal. It is her strength, her blood, her destiny. The fields of Tara yield little more than stubborn weeds and bitter roots. Yet Scarlett refuses to let her family starve. She drives her sisters into the furrows, her hands blistered from the hoe, her once white skin darkened by the sun. The girl who once fluttered her lashes at suitors now trudges barefoot through mud, her dress ragged, her shoulders square. Hunger gnaws at them daily, but Scarlett's vow, "I'll never be hungry again," is the fire that keeps her moving. But survival alone is not enough. When the war ends, Tara lies in ruins. Confederate defeat has left the South shattered, and the world Scarlett knew is gone. Carpetbaggers and new laws sweep across Georgia, leaving landowners like the O'Haras crushed by taxes they cannot pay. One morning, a notice arrives. Unless the O'Haras can pay the staggering tax on Tara, their beloved land will be seized. Gerald, broken and wandering in his mind, is no help. Scarlett looks at her sister's pale faces, Melanie's fragile body, the hungry child in her arms, and makes her decision. She will not let Tara fall. But pride cannot pay debts, and beauty no longer fills pantries. Scarlett sees only one way to save her home. She turns to Frank Kennedy, the mild-mannered fiancé of her sister, Sue Ellen. Frank has a store in town, and with his money, Scarlett could pay the taxes. With her ruthless clarity, she pushes aside her sister's claims and accepts Frank's proposal. She does not love him. She barely respects him. But Tara is worth more than love, and Scarlett's vow leaves no room for hesitation. The marriage shocks Atlanta's society. Whispers of scandal chase Scarlett wherever she goes, but she does not care. With Frank's wealth, she secures Tara's future, though not without bitterness from her own family. Her sisters accuse her of betrayal. Melanie defends her with quiet loyalty. And Scarlett, for all her hardened resolve, feels the sting of their judgment. Yet she silences the doubts with one thought. Tira is safe. In the city, Scarlett proves herself far more than a storekeeper's wife. She sees opportunity where others see only ruin. With sharp eyes and a sharper tongue, she expands Frank's business, bartering and bargaining, stepping boldly into spaces where women are told they do not belong. Men call her unwomanly, selfish, even shameless. But profits rise, and Scarlett's coffers begin to fill. She has found a new weapon, sharper than beauty and more enduring than charm: money. It is during these ruthless ventures that Rhett Butler drifts back into her orbit, still laughing at the world, still infuriatingly confident. He mocks her mercilessly for marrying without love, for chasing security like a merchant instead of a lady. Yet in his eyes, there is admiration. He sees her as she truly is, cunning, strong, and unafraid to soil her hands when others wilt. Scarlett bristles at his arrogance, but her heart races when his gaze lingers. Still, Ashley remains her obsession, a ghost she cannot exorcise. She visits him and Melanie, weaving lies to keep his affection alive, convincing herself that someday, somehow, he will be hers. But the world is changing, and a reckless hunger for both survival and desire sets her on a dangerous path. For each choice she makes to save Tara, Scarlett sacrifices another piece of her old self, trading innocence for power, tenderness for iron. And though she cannot see it yet, the fire that saved her will also scorch everything she loves. Atlanta no longer resembles the proud city Scarlett first saw at the Wilkes barbecue. Its streets are scarred by war, buildings stand in ruins, and the air hangs heavy with the bitterness of defeat. But where others see loss, Scarlett sees possibility. She looks at Frank Kennedy's modest store, shelves nearly bare, and imagines an empire with the same will that once clung to Tara. She takes command, turning goods into gold, using charm when necessary, deception when useful, and cold determination always. The women of Atlanta whisper that she is unfeminine, shameless, unfit to be called a lady. They sneer when she rides alone through dangerous parts of town or haggles with men in the marketplace. Yet Scarlett does not care for their approval. She remembers the gnawing hunger at Tara, the hollow eyes of her sisters, the red earth clenched in her fist as she swore never to starve again. What is propriety compared to survival? Still, her ruthlessness unsettles those closest to her. Frank, bewildered by her ambition, resents her dominance in his own business. He is a kind man, but timid, clinging to the old codes of honor while Scarlett tramples over them. Melanie, ever gentle, defends Scarlett against gossip, blind to the truth that her sister-in-law's motives are not kindness, but cold necessity. And Ashley drifts through the ruins of his dreams, a man broken by defeat, yet still idolized by Scarlett, who convinces herself that her strength can one day replace his lost courage. It is in this new Atlanta, this city of ashes trying to rebuild itself, that Rhett Butler shines brightest. He moves through its streets with the ease of a man untouched by ruin, his fortune growing with every risk he takes. He smuggles, he schemes, he invests, And while others whisper of his dishonor, they cannot ignore his wealth. Scarlett, watching him from the corner of her eye, sees a reflection of herself. Shameless, cunning, willing to do what others will not, what others will not, what others will not, what others will not, what others. Their encounters crackle with dangerous energy. Rhett teases her mercilessly, calling her out on every selfish motive she hides beneath the mask of duty. He admires her sharpness, her hunger, her willingness to grasp life with both hands. Scarlett pretends to despise him, but the truth is undeniable. He stirs in her a fire Ashley never could. Still, her pride chains her to her old dream, and she clings to the vision of Ashley as the great love of her life, even as the man himself fades into quiet despair. The city grows harsher. Freedmen search for a place in a world that has never welcomed them. Carpetbaggers and opportunists circle like vultures. Violence simmers in the streets. When danger threatens her wagons, Scarlett takes to carrying a pistol, her courage hardening with each confrontation. Society may scorn her, but her coffers fill with gold, and Tara remains hers. That is all that matters, yet beneath the surface of her triumph lies a growing unease. Each choice she makes for survival isolates her further. Each coin she earns drives a wedge deeper between herself and the world she once charmed with a flutter of lashes. Even Rhett, for all his admiration, warns her with a smile that she is becoming something more fearsome than any lady should be. Scarlett only lifts her chin higher. Atlanta, rebuilt on ashes and greed, mirrors her own transformation. Beautiful, defiant, unyielding, but fragile at the roots. And in the midst of this dangerous new life, Scarlett's heart still beats for Ashley, blind to the storm gathering in Rhett's mocking eyes, and the price she will one day pay for clinging to a dream already lost. Scarlett's success in business makes her both admired and despised. Her warehouses brim with lumber. Her fortune grows with every deal struck, and men who once dismissed her now come to her hat in hand. Yet every coin earned sets her further apart from the world of ladies and gentlemen she once longed to rule. Whispers chase her through Atlanta's drawing rooms that she's shameless, unwomanly, a merchant in petticoats. Scarlett only laughs, tossing her head with the same defiant pride that once captivated suitors on Tara's porch. And then Rhett Butler steps back into her path, as if summoned by the fire in her blood. He is as he always was, careless, charming, and irreverent. His wealth, like hers, has grown from the ashes of defeat, but his grin hides wounds deeper than Scarlett can see. Their conversations are duels, their laughter edged with sparks, every glance between them a challenge. Rhett alone sees through her lies. When she insists she works only for her family's sake, he raises an eyebrow and tells her the truth. She does it for herself, for power, for the thrill of winning. And though she bristles, she cannot deny the dangerous recognition that flashes between them. The dance is one of fire and ice. Rhett woos her with gifts, fine fabrics, jewels, the kind of luxury she once thought forever lost. He tempts her with promises of freedom, of a life unbound by society's rules. Scarlett, torn between pride and desire, resists him with words sharper than knives, yet finds herself drawn to his reckless courage. Ashley remains her obsession, But in Rhett's presence, her heart races with a different kind of hunger, raw and electric. Yet danger lurks beyond the walls of parlors and shops. Reconstruction has torn apart the fabric of Southern life. Lawlessness prowls the streets. One night, as Scarlett drives her carriage through a darkened road, she's attacked by bandits. Fear, for the first time in years, grips her heart. Shots ring out, curses echo, and though she escapes with her life, her fragile sense of invincibility shatters. The city whispers again, this time in tones of outrage. A woman alone in the night, a widow dealing in men's business. Now the cause of violence. The men of Atlanta form a secret vigilante band to restore their vision of honor. And Frank Kennedy is among them. Scarlett, who married him for land and security, never imagined the cost would come in blood. When the raid ends, Frank is dead. Another husband claimed by the chaos she cannot control. As Scarlett stands in black once more, Atlanta gossips cruelly, whispering that she brings ruin to every man who loves her. Her pride shields her like armor, but inside she feels the first cracks of weariness. She has fought for Tara, fought for survival, fought against hunger and shame, yet the world continues to strip away those she clings to. In her grief and fury, she turns to the only man who has ever matched her fire. Rhett Butler, with his mocking smile and unshaken confidence, steps forward. This time his laughter is edged with something more dangerous, something almost tender. He tells her that he wants her, body and soul, not out of pity, not out of duty, but out of desire. For the first time, Scarlett listens, and in that charged silence, she begins to imagine a future, not with Ashley's ghostly love, but with Rhett's burning passion. Scarlett's second widowhood is short. The black veil is hardly lifted before Rhett Butler steps boldly into her life with a proposition that is part mockery, part confession. He does not whisper sweet words as Ashley once did. He does not hide behind gentility. Instead, Rhett looks her in the eye and tells her plainly, he wants her. He wants her fire, her beauty, her ruthless hunger. He laughs at her stubborn pride, even as he offers her the safety and wealth she has craved. Scarlett resists at first, clinging to the dream of Ashley, as if it were a shield against the dangerous pull she feels toward Rhett. Yet the memory of hunger, of taxes unpaid, of Tara nearly lost, burns sharper than romance. Rhett's proposal is not cloaked in illusion. He tells her that love, at least as the world knows it, is a trick, and he admires her for seeing it. What he offers is passion, protection, and a fortune big enough to keep her and her family safe forever. Scarlett, dazzled by the glittering life he paints and stirred by the heat in his touch, agrees. Their marriage is not like any other. Atlanta gossips whisper in shock as Rhett parades his bride through town, showering her with silks, jewels, and a grand house that rises like a palace among the city's ruins. Scarlett revels in the luxury. The girl who once clawed potatoes from the dirt now wears Paris gowns and rides in carriages gilded with gold. Yet for all the grandeur, a storm brews within their walls. Rhett adores her beauty, her spirit, her bold defiance of society. But he will not bow to her demands, nor will he play the worshipful suitor, as Ashley once did. He mocks her, taunts her, challenges her to drop the mask of the Southern lady. Scarlett, proud and stubborn, fights back with equal ferocity. Their love is fire, fierce, consuming, but also destructive. Their laughter can turn to shouting, their passion to rage, their kisses to battles. Through it all, Ashley remains like a ghost between them. Scarlett still dreams of him, still clings to her imagined love, still convinces herself that he would have chosen her, had duty not bound him to Melanie. Rhett knows it, and though he laughs, the wound festers. He can give her riches, safety, even devotion, but not the love she refuses to turn his way. Yet there are moments, fleeting as candle flames, when peace seems possible. Scarlett bears Rhett's child, and in those tender hours, when he gazes at her with unguarded devotion, she sees the man behind the mask, the boy who once loved with the whole heart and learned too early how cruel the world could be. But pride is stronger than tenderness. She hides her own growing need, mocks his love, clings to Ashley's shadow, and the chance for happiness slips through her grasp. Beyond their gilded home, the South struggles to rebuild. Former slaves seek freedom, carpetbaggers claim power, and old families cling desperately to the ashes of honor. The world has changed, yet Scarlett cannot. Her vow to survive still rules her every choice, her every sacrifice. And though she has everything she once dreamed of, wealth, safety, beauty, and a husband who burns for her, she feels the emptiness growing like a hollow echo inside her heart. The war may be over, but the battle within Scarlett O'Hara has only just begun. The house Rhett builds for Scarlett rises above Atlanta like a monument to defiance. Its sweeping staircases gleam, chandeliers sparkle with crystal fire, and the rooms are filled with silks and velvet in colors that once belonged only to the dreams of a planter's daughter. Scarlett walks its halls as if she were a queen, her gowns rustling, her jewels flashing, her head held high against the whispers of society. She has conquered hunger, conquered ruin, and stands now in a fortress of wealth. But no matter how bright the lamps burn, shadows cling to the corners. The city outside their gilded doors is not the Atlanta she once knew. Reconstruction has twisted it into something harsher, more restless. Former slaves seek new lives and new power. Northern men pour in to profit from the South's defeat, and proud families cling stubbornly to broken traditions. Scarlett thrives in this chaos, building her lumber business, cutting deals with Yankees and freedmen alike, ignoring the disgust of her neighbors. Money, she believes, is the only truth left standing. Inside her home, however, peace proves elusive. Rhett indulges her whims with a mixture of generosity and mockery, draping her in finery, yet laughing at her attempts to play the lady she once pretended to be. He sees through her every pose, every lie, every denial. He knows she still dreams of Ashley, and though he pretends not to care, the wound festers like a hidden flame. Their marriage becomes a battlefield of pride. Scarlett demands love and devotion, but offers none in return. Rhett showers her with gifts, but withholds the one thing she cannot admit she craves. The tenderness she once dismissed as weakness. Atlanta society, though scandalized, cannot look away. They whisper behind fans and mustaches, mocking Scarlett's ambition, condemning her for daring to take what should belong to men. Yet they still attend her parties, dazzled by the splendor Rhett's fortune provides. Scarlett, unbowed, smiles as if their scorn were praise. But in the still hours of night, when the laughter has faded and the silks are cast aside, she lies awake in a vast bed, restless, unsatisfied, and haunted by the memory of Ashley's quiet voice. Ashley himself drifts like a ghost through her days, a man broken by the collapse of the world he once cherished. He clings to Melanie, his gentle wife, with a devotion that cuts Scarlett deeper than any enemy blade. Still, she tells herself that his heart belongs to her, that one day he will awaken from duty's chains and turn to her. It is a dream she cannot release, even as reality crumbles around her. Rhett watches this delusion with bitter amusement, his laughter sharp, his eyes shadowed. He warns her that she is chasing smoke, that Ashley is no hero, that her hunger blinds her to the love already within her grasp. Scarlett snaps back with cruel words, too proud to admit her confusion, too stubborn to surrender. And so they circle each other. Lovers, enemies, partners, rivals, bound by fire, divided by pride. The South, outside their window, struggles to breathe, and so does their marriage. In the ruins of a defeated land, Scarlett builds an empire of lumber and coin. But within the fortress of her home, her heart remains unbuilt. A kingdom of ashes, waiting for a spark that may never come. When the cries of a newborn pierce the grand halls of their Atlanta mansion, the air shifts. Scarlett gives birth to a daughter, Bonnie Blue Butler, a child with dark curls and sparkling blue eyes, a living blend of her mother's beauty and her father's charm. For a brief moment, the world seems healed. Scarlett, who once clutched a fistful of dirt and swore never to starve again, now clutches the tiny fingers of her daughter and feels something she has long resisted. Softness, hope, the fragile warmth of new life. Rhett, the cynic who mocked love and scoffed at honor, is undone by Bonnie. He dotes on her with the tenderness no one thought him capable of, carrying her proudly through the streets of Atlanta, letting her sit atop his horse like a princess of some reborn kingdom. The hardened blockade runner melts into a devoted father, and for the first time, the cracks in his armor show. To Scarlett, this change is both comforting and unsettling. She sees the love he pours into Bonnie and senses that it is the same love he has long withheld from her. The city, too, softens. Where once tongues wagged with scorn at Scarlett's ambition and Rhett's scandal, now they whisper admiration for the little girl with the wide blue eyes. Bonnie becomes a symbol of rebirth in a city clawing its way back from ruin. Neighbors who would not cross Scarlett's threshold come to coo at the child. For a time, the fire in Scarlett's heart dims, soothed by the laughter of her daughter and the fragile peace of her marriage. But Scarlett's hunger is never sated for long. She revels in her new wealth, in her success, in the admiration that still follows her. Yet her eyes continue to stray toward Ashley, clinging to the dream that refuses to die. Rhett knows it. He feels it in every word she withholds, in every glance she casts toward another man. His love for Bonnie is fierce, but his love for Scarlett curdles into jealousy and bitterness. The palace he built becomes a house of shadows, laughter turning to arguments, tenderness to silence. Scarlett, restless and proud, cannot admit the truth stirring within her. She loves Rhett in ways she has never dared to confess. But pride holds her tongue. Instead, she mocks him, pushes him, wounds him with careless words, while clinging to the illusion of Ashley. The love that could have saved them both flickers, threatened by the storm of their pride. And yet, whenever Bonnie laughs, whenever her tiny hands grasp their fingers, both Scarlett and Rhett glimpse what might have been a life of peace, of family, of love. Bonnie is their bridge, their fragile hope, their chance at redemption. But the winds that once tore through Georgia have not yet finished their work. Tragedy still waits in the shadows, ready to strike at the heart of Scarlett's fragile kingdom. The laughter of Bonnie Blue Butler fills the grand house like birdsong after a storm. She is fearless, a child of energy and charm, adored by all who see her. Scarlett dotes on her as she once doted on her reflection in the mirror, dressing her in frilled gowns and ribbons, parading her before Atlanta society as proof that the O'Hara spirit still thrives. Rhett, too, is transformed by her. The hardened smuggler who once scoffed at love now melts before his daughter's smile. He spoils her with ponies, toys, and jewels. But more than that, he gives her the tenderness he withholds from everyone else, even Scarlett. Bonnie is his pride, his joy, his reason to believe in innocence again. Yet the world is merciless, and happiness in Scarlett's life is never allowed to last. One golden afternoon, under a sky too blue to hold sorrow, Bonnie insists on riding her pony without help. Her curls bounce in the sunlight, her laughter rising like a song as the little animal leaps. Rhett watches with pride, Scarlett with anxious love, until the pony stumbles. A scream splits the air, a flash of motion, and then silence. The child who was their fragile bridge between passion and peace lies lifeless in the dust. Time itself seems to stop. Rhett gathers Bonnie's small body in his arms, rocking her as though she were only sleeping, his voice broken with pleas and lullabies that no longer matter. Scarlett, frozen in horror, feels the ground vanish beneath her. The grand house, the jewels, the gowns, even Tara itself. None of it can fill the emptiness that now yawns inside her chest. The vow she once whispered with a fistful of dirt, "I will never be hungry again," feels hollow. For what does survival matter when love is gone? Rhett's grief is terrible to behold. The man who laughed at the world now shuts himself away with the body of his child, refusing to let go, refusing to allow even Melanie to comfort him. Days stretch into nights as he clings to Bonnie's memory, his voice hoarse from weeping, his proud strength broken. The city whispers of his madness, of the tragedy that has shattered even the mighty Rhett Butler. Scarlett, desperate for his love, reaches for him at last. She tries to comfort him, to bridge the chasm her pride has widened. But Rhett turns from her, his eyes hollow, his heart buried with Bonnie. For the first time, Scarlett feels the weight of what she has lost. Not only her daughter, but the chance at happiness that had always stood within her grasp. The house that once glittered with laughter now echoes with silence. The kingdom Scarlett built, her fortress of wealth and pride, has become a tomb. And in that silence, she begins to sense the truth she has long denied. Her heart does not belong to Ashley. to the dream of the Old South, or to the red earth of Tara alone. It belongs to Rhett. Yet the moment she finally realizes this truth, it may already be too late. The house in Atlanta, once alive with music and laughter, has become heavy with grief. After Bonnie's death, silence clings to every room, thick and suffocating. Scarlett drifts through the halls like a shadow, her once fiery spirit dulled by sorrow. She has lost her child, and in that loss, she finally sees the truth she had refused for so long. Ashley was never the man she loved. He was a dream, a symbol of the world she wanted to preserve, a fragile echo of a South that no longer exists. It is Rhett, reckless, mocking, infuriating Rhett, who has been the center of her heart all along. The realization comes like a lightning strike, cruel and blinding. Every glance, every quarrel, every kiss that left her trembling now makes sense. She loves him. She always has. But the discovery arrives too late. Melanie, the gentle soul who had been Scarlett's rival, lies dying. Her strength, once so quietly unshakable, finally falters. On her deathbed, she takes Scarlett's hand and entrusts her most precious treasure, Ashley, to her care. In that moment, Scarlett sees, with painful clarity, that Ashley never belonged to her, and never will. Melanie's love was his anchor, and without her, he's lost. Scarlett looks at Ashley and feels only pity, not passion. The dream dissolves like mist in sunlight. Heart pounding with a desperate new hope, Scarlett turns back to Rhett. She imagines a future where her pride no longer stands between them, where she can confess the love she has denied for so long. She hurries home, rehearsing the words, envisioning the life they might still build together. She pictures Rhett's mocking smile softening, his dark eyes warming, his arms gathering her close. For the first time, Scarlett is ready to surrender her pride. But when she finds him, she sees at once that the chance has passed. Rhett, hollow-eyed and weary, listens to her confession in silence. He has loved her with a fire that burned for years, but Bonnie's death has drained him, and her belated realization comes too late to heal the wound. He tells her the words she once longed to hear, that he loved her, that he wanted her heart. But his voice is flat, his passion spent. He no longer believes in tomorrow for them. Scarlett pleads, her voice trembling, her pride crumbling at last. She clutches his arm, begs him not to leave, tells him she loves him, truly loves him. But Rhett only shakes his head. He has fought too long, been wounded too deeply, and now he's tired of battles. He turns toward the door with that same careless grace she once admired, though his eyes are shadowed with sorrow. And in that moment, Scarlett O'Hara, who once bent every man to her will, who survived hunger, fire, and ruin, stands powerless before the only man she has ever truly loved, watching him slip away like the Old South itself. Gone beyond her reach, dawn rinses the sky in a pale wash as Rhett closes the door behind him. The echo of his steps fades down the front walk, and the great house seems to exhale, as if releasing the breath it has held through years of quarrels, laughter, and loss. Scarlett stands very still. Her hands, always quick to grasp and claw and cling, hang open at her sides. Wealth glitters on every surface around her, but it is the glitter of frost. She has won so many battles that the word winning has gone dull in her mouth, and yet here she is, defeated where it mattered most. For a long time she hears only the slow ticking of a clock and the faint creak of the house settling on its foundations. She remembers the afternoon light that once pooled on the staircase, when Bonnie laughed and ran. She remembers Rhett's careless whistle drifting down a hallway. She remembers the rustle of silk and the smell of magnolias from summers that will not return. She has chased a dream for so long that it felt like a duty. Now the dream stands revealed for what it was. Mist that burned away at the first hard sun. The knowledge does not kill her, it sharpens her. The girl who traded flirtation for survival, who ripped down velvet curtains to clothe her family, who dug and bled in red fields until the soil stained her palms, will not collapse in a gilded room and surrender to despair. Pride surges back through her like a tide. If love is lost, then it must be fought for. If contrition is required, then it must be earned. Yet she is no longer the child who believed wanting was enough. She understands at last that a heart is not seized like land, and that apology is a currency, only when it is paid in truth. The house feels unendurable. She summons a carriage. Servants watch with wary eyes as she steps out without a cloak, the morning cool against her skin. Atlanta flickers past. Streets she remade with lumber and nerve. Shop fronts that rose from ash at her command. Corners where whispers once stuck to her like burrs. She barely sees them. The road beyond the city beckons like a line drawn straight to the only compass she has ever fully trusted. Fields unfurl, and the soil deepens to that fierce red she has always known. The carriage wheels jolt through ruts. Birds lift from spent hedges, and the air takes on the honest smell of turned earth. As the sun climbs, the land begins to glow, not with the false brilliance of chandeliers, but with the old light that lived here before her, and will live here after. When Tara's white columns come into view, they are not grand. They are worn and slightly crooked, a little stained by time, and still they stand. On the steps she pauses. Memory rises like heat. Her mother's cool hand on a fevered brow, her father's booming pride, the laughter of girls whose greatest problem was which ribbon to wear. In the doorway, the house breathes its familiar scent of cedar and dust and time. Her sisters greet her with surprise, with questions that fall away when they see her face. Melanie's absence hangs in the rooms like a soft veil. Bonnie's absence cuts like glass. Scarlett moves through it all with a calm steadiness that would have startled the girl she used to be. She walks the fields. The furrows run straight. The shoots stand at their disciplined heights. Men and women labor under the sun, and she greets them by name, measuring the season in a glance the way a farmer does, not a queen. Here is the truth that never failed her. The land asks only for sweat and patience, and returns what effort deserves. In that exchange, there are no rumors, no drawing rooms, no judges behind fans. There is only the contract of work and harvest. At the far edge of the field, she kneels and presses her palm to the soil. She has done this before. She has sworn here before. The vow that once rose from hunger returns from a deeper place now. She will rebuild what can be rebuilt. She will feed those who depend on her. She will bear the weight of her sins and do the slow labor of repair, where repair is possible. And when the time is right, when she has made herself honest, she will go back to Atlanta and face Rhett without masks, not to demand, not to bargain, to tell the truth. That pride cost her the one thing she could not afford to lose, and that love, if it comes again, must come freely. She does not know if he will listen. She does not know if forgiveness can find a home in a heart ripped open by grief. Uncertainty used to terrify her. It does not now. She has lived through fire and hunger and the collapse of a world. She can live through not knowing. She can live through the long work of becoming worthy of what she asks. The days ease into a rhythm that steadies her. There are accounts to settle, fences to mend, roofs to patch before the next hard rain. Each task is small. Each task is real. In the evenings, when the sun lays copper light across the fields, she sits on the porch and lets her mind travel to an Atlanta street, to a house that still shines even in sorrow, to a man with dark eyes who learned how to laugh at the world so it could not break him. She thinks of the way his gaze softened when he held their child. She thinks of how his voice changed when he allowed hope to slip past his guard. She knows she cannot conjure those things with will alone. She can only make herself ready if they ever return. A letter could be written. A carriage could be ordered. Pride urges haste. Patience answers no. She will not storm another heart like a fortress. She will tend what is hers to tend, send word when she has words worth sending, and accept the answer that comes. The future is not a door to be kicked in, but a field to be planted, season by season, with care and humility. Night gathers, cool and clear. The stars feel closer here than in the city, and the wind that slips through the live oaks smells of grass and distant rain. Scarlett sits with her back straight, her hands open on her lap, breathing the air of the only place that ever taught her who she was. Loss sits beside her. So does endurance. She knows this balance. She has walked it before, and will again. What is left to her is not nothing. It is the oldest wealth she has known. Time, land, labor, and the stubborn spark that always refused to go out, no matter how the world tried to blow it dark. She rises, goes inside, and begins to list what must be done in the morning. New seed. A team for the north fence. A letter, perhaps, to be drafted and folded away until it rings true. Scarlett O'Hara does not surrender. She adjusts. She rebuilds. She waits with the kind of hope that works fields by daylight and keeps its own counsel by night. The past is fixed. The present is hers to carry. And the next sunrise is already turning the horizon, the color of iron and promise. Tomorrow will bring its chances, and she will be ready to meet them, 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 be ready to meet